In 2022, Wizards of the Coast tried to make some controversial changes to its OGL, its Open Game License, which really sought to take a commission out of anyone who tried to use it for their own products. It didn't really go so well. There was a petition that was signed by many people, and many of those people decided to cancel their D&D Beyond subscriptions. Something that did come out of that were these various publishers that created their own OGL that was free for people to use. One such company was Kobold Press and its Black Flag project. This is a review of Tales of the Valiant, the Player's Guide. Let's dive in. So here we have Tales of the Valiant, the Player's Guide. My book might look a little bit different than yours. This is the special edition cover that I got from Kickstarter. So let's see what the website has to say about this book. Tales of the Valiant Player's Guide. Join the ranks of the Valiant. Every adventure needs a beginning. Start your own tale in an infinite universe of high fantasy adventure with the Tales of the Valiant Player's Guide. Within these pages, a trove of knowledge lies ready, waiting for the Valiant to claim it. Make your own unique and legendary hero with the new Lineage and Heritage system. Select talents and backgrounds that make your hero truly stand apart. Master improved spellcasting and martial abilities to ensure every hero stands tall in a fight. Explore new downtime rules to expand your game beyond the dungeon. Learn a streamlined 5e compatible rule set with unique mechanics to increase both risk and reward. Tales of the Valiant is a Black Flag role-playing game from Kobold Press. Gather your friends and journey together across a labyrinth of worlds in search of adventure. As already stated before, this is a Kobold Press product published in 2024, and it definitely takes a lot of cues from Dungeons & Dragons. It's functionally the same thing with a few updates and a reworking of some classes. Most of this book consists of everything a player needs to create a character. Classes, heritages, and lineages, which are races in old Dungeons & Dragons terms, backgrounds, talents, which are kind of like feats in a sense, spells, and equipment. There are magic items included in the player's guide to give your players a little taste of what's to come. If you've ever played Dungeons & Dragons or any type of fantasy-based role-playing game, then the character creation process will be very similar here. You're going to come up with a concept for your character, choose a class, determine your ability scores, choose a lineage and a heritage, choose a background, take your starting equipment, and then fill in the blanks, which is basically anything that's left, such as spells and the like. I really do like that there's a final checklist included, especially since I think the whole process is medium in its complexity. There are 13 classes to choose from, same as D&D. We have the Barbarian, Bard, Cleric, Druid, Fighter, Mechanist, which is kind of like the Artificer in D&D, the Monk, Paladin, Ranger, Rogue, Sorcerer, Warlock, and Wizard. The Barbarian class revolves around their Rage ability and being able to deal extra damage. They can even attack recklessly to gain advantage on attack rolls at the cost of lower defense. The two subclasses for the Barbarian are the Berserker and the Wild Fury. Berserker allows a barbarian to enter a frenzy, which grants an extra attack as a bonus action. At 7th level, they get Mindless Rage, which allows them to ignore exhaustion if they are in a rage, immunity to charm or frightened, and if they score a critical hit or reduce a creature to 0 HP, they gain temporary hit points. At 15th level, they get Retaliation, so if a creature attacks them, they can move up to half their speed and make a single melee attack against them. The Wild Fury Barbarian allows them to channel a Beast Might. There are 4 listed here. We have Alligator, Bear, Tiger, and Toad. At 7th level, you are granted more options, this time the Hawk, Lizard, Turtle, or Wolf. At 15th level, you have even more options, such as the Crane, Ram, Shark, or Snake. Each animal has a different rage effect. The Bard class is still your jack of all trades and revolves around bardic inspiration. As a bonus action, a bard can pass on a d6 to another character to use when they make an ability check, attack roll, or saving throw. They also have bardic performance, and there's 2 abilities that they can use: Celebrate Life and Cutting Words. Celebrate Life allows an ally to spend a hit die to recover extra HP, while Cutting Words allows a bard to spend a bardic inspiration die to subtract from an enemy's roll. The bard has access to two subclasses, the College of Lore and College of Victory. The College of Lore bards gain access to Ode to Heroes, a bardic performance. This allows them to choose an ability when they use bardic performance. When they do, allies within range have advantage on those rolls. Likewise, enemies gain disadvantage on that ability. At 15th level, they get Peerless Skill, which allows them to use one of their bardic inspirations on an ability roll. If they succeed, they get it back for free. College of Victory bards gain access to Battle March, a bardic performance. When activated, they can choose up to 3 allies to use their reaction to move up to half their speed. This movement doesn't provoke attacks of opportunity. At 15th level, they get Inspired Strike, which allows them to use one of their bardic inspirations on an attack roll. If they succeed, they get it back for free. Clerics are divine spellcasters that can channel their faith to powerful effects. At first level, they can choose a manifestation of faith, either Might or Miracle. Might gives them proficiency to heavy armor, and Miracles gives them a free cantrip from any source of magic. In addition, they can add their proficiency bonus to damage they deal with their cantrips. They also have access to Channel Divinity. At second level, they gain Turn the Profane, which allows them to frighten away the undead if the creature fails at a Wisdom saving throw. At third level, a cleric can choose one of 3 subclasses. The Life Domain cleric excels at healing. They gain access to Channel Divinity Preserve Life, which allows them to restore a number of HP equal to 5 times their cleric level, although they can never restore more than half max HP on a creature. At 11th level, they gain Greater Preservation, which allows them to cure diseases, conditions, and poisons affecting a target. At 15th level, they gain access to Perfect Healing, which allows them to maximize any healing done with spells. The Light Domain Cleric gains access to an arsenal of offensive and defensive spells. They gain access to Channel Divinity, Searing Radiance, which allows a cleric to create a bright light and deals radiant damage to hostile creatures within it. Also, starting at level 3, they have access to spells such as Burning Hands, Guiding Bolt, Moonbeam, and Scorching Ray. At later levels, they'll gain spells such as Fireball, Elemental Shield, Wall of Fire, Dispel Evil and Good, and Flame Strike. At 15th level, they gain access to Luminous Shroud. When they are within bright light, they have advantage on saves, can't be charmed or frightened, and gain either immunity to radiant damage or resistance to necrotic damage. The War Domain Cleric excels at dealing damage with weapons. They gain access to Channel Divinity Mark of Triumph, which allows a cleric to mark a creature. Until the start of their next turn, all creatures who attack a marked creature have advantage on the first attack roll they make against it. They also have Disciple of War, which allows them to make a bonus attack with their weapon a number of times equal to the proficiency bonus. Their bonus spells include Command, Magic Weapon, Shield of Truth, Warding Bond, Fear, Spirit Guardians, Death Ward, Guardian of Faith, Anti-Life Shell, and Flame Strike. At 15th level, they gain Holy Strike, which allows them to treat any one attack with weapon or spell as a critical hit. Druids are primordial spellcasters that are one with nature. Their whole gimmick involves Wild Shape, which they gain at 2nd level. This can allow them to turn into a beast or to recover an expended primordial spell slot. At 5th, 9th, and 14th level, they gain an improvement to Beast form, which allows them to change into beasts with higher CRs. At 3rd level, they get a subclass, either Leaf or Shifter. The Leaf subclass gains access to spells such as Barkskin, Entangle, Goodberry, Spike Growth, Plant Growth, Speak with Plants, Blight, Freedom of Movement, Greater Hold, and Tree Stride. They are able to speak with plants, and they have access to Wild Shape, Sacred Grove, which allows them to create a magical grove with one of 3 effects, either difficult terrain, disadvantage on attacks except made by you, or temporary HP. At 15th level, they have Heart of the Force, which allows them to resurrect themselves if they die within their Sacred Grove. The Shifter subclass gains access to Potent forms, which are more powerful beast forms. By level 18, they have access to CR6 beasts. At 11th level, they can spend 2 beast forms to change into an elemental, and at 15th level, they can cast primordial spells while in beast form. Fighters are your handy, capable combatants. At 1st level, they gain Last Stand, which allows them to spend a hit die to recover HP when they are reduced to below half their max HP. They also gain martial action, which allows them to use aim, guard, quick strike, or wind up as a bonus action. Action Surge at 2nd level allows a fighter to gain an additional action. At 5th, 9th, and 17th level, the fighter gains an additional attack on their turn. At 3rd level, they get a subclass, either Spellblade or Weapon Master. Spellblade fighters gain access to magic, which can be used to make their attacks more potent. At 3rd, 11th, and 15th level, they can turn their weapons into a +1, +2, or +3 magical weapon. At 7th level, they get Spell Multi-Attack, which allows them to give up a weapon attack for a cantrip spell. At 15th level, they gain access to Charge Strike, which allows them to add their intelligence modifier in addition to strength or dexterity mods to weapon damage. In addition, any damage they deal is considered magical. The Weapon Master fighter gains access to more martial actions called stunts. These include Arcing Strike, Cheap Shot, Make It Count, Parry, Redirect, Riposte, Straight Through, and Tactical Retreat. At 11th level, they gain access to more Assassin's Ambush, Bulwark, Felling Sweep, Preemptive Strike, Rapid Release, and Wrestler's Clutch. At 15th level, they gain access to Grand Finale, which allows them to regain 3 uses of their stunts if they have none when they roll for initiative. Mechanists are inventors and engineers that fuse magic with their creations. At 1st level, they gain access to the Shard of Creation, a tiny object that allows them to gain a d6 inspiration die, much like Bardic Inspiration, that they can use, or they can transform it into a non-magical weapon or shield. At 2nd level, they are able to augment items by channeling magical energy into them. These effects can be things like adhesive, collapsible, detecting, empowered, loading, phosphorescent, propulsive, protean, reactive, reinforced, returning, or repellent. At 5th level, they do get multi-attack, and at 18th level, they can enhance their Shard of Creation further. For Inspire, they can use a D8 instead of a D6, and they are able to transform it into any object, structure, or vehicle up to huge size. At 3rd level, they choose one of 2 subclasses, Metallurgist or Spellwright. The Metallurgist turns the Mechanist into a combat powerhouse. They gain access to a new augment, Absorbing. They are able to enhance their armor with Mystic Metal. At 7th level, they gain access to Heavy Hitter, which allows them to deal an extra D6 worth of damage, D8 at 9th level, and a D10 at 15th level. In addition, their crit range is 19 to 20. At 15th level, they have access to Full Metal, which makes their Mystic Metal armor impervious for 1 minute. The Spellwright uses their intelligence instead of strength or dexterity for weapons attack bonus and damage. They also gain access to a new augment, Imbue Spell. At 7th level, they gain access to Energy Efficient, which allows them to expend 1 less charge from a magical item, deal additional damage equal to Intelligence mod, and double proficiency bonus when determining the spell save DC. At 15th level, they gain access to Overcharge. When using one of their imbued spells, they can double the spell's duration or cause the spell to deal max damage. The Monk class is a fast but ultimately squishy warrior. At 1st level, they have access to Martial Arts, which allows them to roll a d4 in place of normal damage for unarmored strikes or monk weapons. At 1st level, they have access to Martial Arts, which allows them to roll a d4 in place of normal damage for unarmed strikes or monk weapons. They can also use Dexterity instead of Strength for attack and damage rolls. They can also use a bonus action to make an additional unarmed attack. Additionally, when hit by a ranged weapon attack, they can use their reaction to reduce the damage by 1d10 plus Dexterity modifier. If they reduce the damage to 0, they can make a ranged attack with whatever was just caught. For defense, if they are not wearing armor, they have an AC equal to 10 plus Dexterity mod plus Wisdom mod. At 2nd level, they have access to techniques such as Flurry of Blows, Patient Defense, and Step of the Wind. They also get an increase to their movement speed. At 3rd level, they choose a subclass, either Flickering Dark or Open Hand. Flickering Dark monks favor the shadows and darkness. With Dark Flame, they can spend 2 technique points to shroud themselves in a magical darkness, but in addition to that, they get a bonus property. Clawing Shadows damages creatures that enter your darkness. Grasp of Nothingness allows you to deal extra necrotic damage. Spreading Darkness allows you to cast a darkness spell. Also, at 3rd level, a monk can cause a willing creature to see in dim light, darkness, and magical darkness as if it were bright light. At 15th level, they gain access to Strike of Searing Shadow. If you hit with this attack, the target must make a con save or take 3d10 fire, and 3d10 necrotic damage. With the open hand monk, they gain access to focus intent, which allows them to roll a martial arts die when they make an ability check to add to the result. In addition, whenever they hit a creature with a flurry of blows, they can choose an additional effect such as it can't use reactions until the end of their next turn, being knocked prone, or pushed away. At 15th level, they gain access to Quivering Palm, which is a very special attack that has the ability to instantly kill a target if they fail their con save, or at the very least, take massive damage and become paralyzed if they do succeed. Paladins are oath-sworn warriors who have access to divine spells at 2nd level. They do have some healing utility at 1st level with Lay on Hands. They can do extra damage with their weapon attacks with Divine Smite, and they also gain access to martial action, guard, and windup, much like the fighter class, only more limited. At 3rd level, they gain a subclass which will add oath spells and the channel divinity feature. Because they are a somewhat martial class, they also gain multi-attack at level 5. The Devotion Paladin binds themselves to honor, justice, and order, and they must strictly adhere to these principles. At 3rd level, they gain Channel Divinity, Sacred Weapon, which allows them to add their Charisma mod to attack rolls and their weapon glows. They also gain Channel Divinity, Sanctifying Light, which allows them to blind Aberration, Fey, Fiend, and Undead creatures. A Devotion Paladin gains access to a handful of spells such as Sanctuary, Warding Bond, Protection from Energy, Stone Skin, and Mass Cure Wounds. At 15th level, they gain Holy Nimbus, which allows them to emanate a bright sunlight, and any creature that starts its turn in it takes radiant damage equal to the Paladin's level. The Justice Paladin has more of a freedom to act as they want so long as they target those who bring harm and terror to the innocent. Their Channel Divinity features are Burden of Guilt, which can slow down the speed of a creature, and Judgment, which allows them to mark a creature to give them advantage against it, along with extra damage. Their oath spells include Pendulum, Misty Step, Haste, Greater Invisibility, and Greater Hold. At 15th level, they gain access to Divine Executioner, which allows them to reroll damage, make an additional attack, or force an attacker to take half the damage it dealt. Rangers are natural explorers with a hint of primordial spellcasting starting at level 2. At 1st level, a ranger gains access to Explorer, which allows them to gain either a climbing speed or swimming speed equal to their base movement speed. They also get Mystic Mark, so they can mark a creature as its favorite quarry, allowing them to deal additional damage. They do have access to Martial Action, Aim, and Quick Strike, and at 5th level, they are able to use Multi-Attack. At 3rd level, they choose a subclass, either Hunter or Pack Master. Hunters gain a handful of spells, including Protection from Evil and Good, Misty Step, Non-Detection, Banishment, and Greater Hold. They also gain access to Killer Instinct, which allows them to learn a creature's immunities, resistances, and vulnerabilities. Relentless Pursuit, which is essentially a Mystic Mark without using that ability. At 7th level, they gain Favorite Foe, which allows them to choose an enemy type whenever they long rest, and for 24 hours, creatures of that type have disadvantage to attack them. At 15th level, they gain access to Predator's Shield, which provides resistance to damage from a creature that hits them. Pack Masters gain a Beast Spirit companion. Lifelink allows the ranger to take damage instead of their Beast Spirit, but I would have thought it would have been the opposite. Pack Masters also gain access to a handful of spells including Animal Friendship, Wild Sense, Spirit Guardians, Polymorph, and Dominate. At 15th level, they gain access to Undying Friendship, which allows the Beast Spirit to sacrifice itself to resurrect a downed ranger. Rogues excel at stealth, even though they are quite versatile. Sneak Attack is their biggest feature, which allows them to deal extra damage if they attack their target unawares. At 2nd level, they can use Cunning Action, which is Dash, Disengage, or Hide, as a bonus action. While they do not gain multi-attack at level 5, they do gain Uncanny Dodge, which allows them to reduce an incoming attack's damage by half. At 3rd level, they choose a subclass, either Enforcer or Thief. Enforcers gain Ambush at 3rd level, which gives a rogue advantage for the first attack they make in combat. If the target is surprised, the attack is an automatic critical hit. In addition to that, they gain Cold-Blooded, so if they reduce a target to 0 HP, they can make an additional target against a different creature. With Brawler at 7th level, a rogue can use Sneak Attack even if they do not have advantage against a target. They just can't have disadvantage. At 15th level, they gain access to Kill Shot, which allows them to reroll any dice used in Sneak Attack. Thieves gain Fast Hands at 3rd level, which adds to the cunning action feature to make a sleight of hand check, use an object, or disarm a trap or lock. Second story work gives a rogue a climbing speed and makes them better at jumping. At 15th level, they gain access to Thief's Reflexes, which allows them to take 2 turns during the first round of combat. Sorcerers command powerful magic and are able to empower their spells. Their whole gimmick revolves around sorcery points. At first level, they are able to sacrifice spell slots to gain sorcery points and vice versa, at least up to 5th circle spells. Starting at 2nd level, they gain access to meta magic, the ability to twist spells to suit a need. These can include Careful Spell, Distant Spell, Empowered Spell, Enlarged Spell, Extended Spell, Flexible Spell, Heightened Spell, Hunting Spell, Lucky Spell, Quickened Spell, Retained Spell, Shielding Spell, Subtle Spell, and Twin Spell. At 3rd level, they gain access to a subclass, either Chaos or Draconic. Chaos Sorcerers gain access to Chaos Manifestation at level 3. This allows them to roll for an effect whenever they reduce a creature to 0 HP. They also gain access to the spells Misty Step, Shatter, Blink, Hypnotic Pattern, Compulsion, Polymorph, Seeming, Telekinesis, Eye Bite, and Irresistible Dance. Whenever a Chaos Sorcerer casts a spell of 1st circle or higher, they have to attempt to make a volatile save. On a failure, roll on the volatile spell effect table. At 15th level, they gain access to Apotheosis of Discord, which reduces the number of sorcery points required for meta magic by 1, gain resistance to all damage, and able to cast any arcane or origin spell for free. Draconic sorcerers have access to the spells Command, Elemental Blade, Fear, Elemental Shield, Dominate, and a Dragon Ancestor spell, which depends on the dragon's type that is chosen. They gain Draconic Resilience, which boosts their max HP and increases their AC when they aren't wearing armor. By 11th level, they can sprout wings and fly, and at 15th level, they gain access to Draconian Vengeance, which allows them to mark a creature. The creature must succeed on a Charisma save or become vulnerable to the damage type of the Draconic ancestry chosen by the caster. Warlocks are casters who gain their power from a supernatural patron. At 1st level, a Warlock chooses a Pact. Pact of the Blade allows them to create a magical weapon. Pact of the Chain grants them a familiar. Pact of the Tome gifts the Warlock with a Grimoire with 3 cantrips. Starting at 2nd level, a Warlock can use Eldritch Invocations that provide different spells or effects. The best ones enhance your Eldritch Blast, a powerful beam that Warlocks can use for attacks at 1st level. At 3rd level, a Warlock chooses a subclass, either Fiend or Reaper. Fiend Warlocks gain Dark One's Blessing, which grants them temporary HP if a hostile creature is reduced to 0 HP within 30 feet. They also gain access to the spells Burning Hands, Command, Scorching Ray, Suggestion, Fireball, Stinking Cloud, Blight, Wall of Fire, Dominate, and Flame Strike. At 15th level, they gain access to Hurl Through Hell, which sends a creature to a different plane for a round. When it comes back, it takes 10d10 psychic damage, if it isn't a fiend, that is. Reaper Warlocks gain the spells False Life, Shield, Branding Smite, Spiritual Weapon, Haste, Vampiric Touch, Death Ward, Phantasmal Killer, Anti-Life Shell, and Cloud Kill. They also gain access to Reaper's Mantle. While active, you gain the following benefits. If a hostile creature within 5 feet of you dies, you regain hit points equal to your proficiency bonus. When you deal damage to a creature within 5 feet of you, that creature takes additional necrotic damage equal to your proficiency bonus. When you make an attack roll against a creature within 5 feet of you, the attack is considered a critical hit on a roll of 19 or 20. At 15th level, they gain access to Swift Wings, which allows them to make an attack against each creature within 5 feet of them and deals extra necrotic damage. If they do not reduce a single enemy creature to 0 HP, then the Reaper gains 1 level of exhaustion. Wizards are versatile spellcasters. At level 1, they gain Arcane Recovery, which allows them to regain spell slots equal to half their wizard level rounded up whenever they take a short rest. At 2nd level, they have Magic Sense, which allows them to sense creatures with spellcasting abilities, as well as other magical effects. At 3rd level, they choose a subclass, either Battle Mage or Cantrip Adept. Whenever a Battle Mage gains a new talent, they can select it from either the Magic or Martial Talents list. They also gain access to Spell Ward, so whenever they cast a spell of 1st circle or higher, they gain a ward that boosts their AC and grants them resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. Tactical Caster allows a wizard to choose who is affected by their area of effect spells. At 15th level, they gain access to Counter-Strike, which still damages a creature that would otherwise take no damage from a spell when they succeed on a save. Lineage represents the blood ties and hereditary traits of a creature. It's what you're born to, no matter where you were born. Lineage options include beastkin, dwarf, elf, human, kobold, orc, Siderian, and small folk. Funnily enough, we no longer have dragonborn, but we do have kobolds, which is a nice substitution. Heritage represents the upbringing and culture of a character. It's what your family, community, or other formative authority figures taught you. Sample heritages can include anointed heritage, cloud heritage, cosmopolitan heritage, cottage heritage, diaspora heritage, fireforge heritage, grove heritage, nomadic heritage, salvager heritage, slayer heritage, stone heritage, supplicant heritage, vexed heritage, and wildlands heritage. Background helps define your character's personal history before becoming an adventurer. These include things like adherent, artist, courtier, criminal, homesteader, maker, outcast, rustic, scholar, and soldier. Talents represent the specific ways an adventurer improves over the course of their adventures. Talents are divided into 3 categories. We have magic talents, martial talents, and technical talents. Your class typically determines which talent lists you have access to, but talents are gained in 2 main ways: from your background or when a class grants an improvement. Most magic talents affect a character's spellcasting abilities, but they also include features that strengthen the mind and defend against harmful magical effects. Martial talents affect a character's combat abilities, including enhancements to overall fitness and the ability to wield weaponry. Technical talents affect a character's non-combat abilities, granting utility-based improvements to social encounters, exploration, and object interactions. Tales of the Valiant is a standard rollover d20 system. If you've ever played any 5e game, it's pretty much the same. Whenever you're asked to make a roll, you roll a d20 and add any modifiers from abilities that apply. If you're proficient with the skill or the save, you're going to add your proficiency bonus. If you roll at or over the DC, you succeed. I find that these types of games don't really lend themselves well to degrees of success, and those are usually optional rules anyways. Players do have access to a resource called luck. Initially, you start with 0 luck, but you can gain luck in the following ways. Once per turn, when you fail to hit with an attack roll or fail a save, gain 1 luck. The GM can award 1 luck as a reward for a clever idea, excellent role-playing, or pursuing an interesting rather than optimal choice. The GM can award any amount of luck to 1 or more PCs for surviving difficult encounters or achieving story goals. You can have a maximum of 5 luck at one time. If you already have 5 luck and gain more, you must immediately roll a d4 and reset your luck total to the number rolled. So this incentivizes to really use your luck. You can spend luck to add a 1-for-1 bonus to any check you make. For example, if you have 4 luck and roll a 13 on the die, you can spend 2 luck to make your result a 15. Alternatively, immediately after you make a check, you can spend 3 luck to reroll a d20 used for their check. Luck can't stop a critical miss on a 1 or create a critical hit by adding up to 20. In terms of skills, players have access to all the standard fantasy-based ones, such as acrobatics, animal handling, arcana, athletics, deception, history, insight, intimidation, investigation, medicine, nature, perception, performance, persuasion, religion, sleight of hand, stealth, and survival. Encounters come in 3 different flavors. We have social, exploration, and combat. Regardless of which, you're going to roll for initiative to see who acts in which order. And this is done by rolling a d20 and adding your dex mod. Quite honestly, there was a missed opportunity here. Since we have 3 different types of encounters, I think each should have their own type of initiative, very similar to how Stargate RPG differentiated theirs. For example, you could have a dex-based initiative for combat, but you could also have a charisma-based initiative for social encounters, and wisdom-based initiative for exploration. This would give certain characters who have actually developed an affinity for such roles a time to shine. I do like how there are hazards baked in, but I kind of wish there were sample traps included. Combat is exactly the same as in other 5e iterations. You have movement, an action, and a bonus action. For actions, we can do things like attack, cast a spell, dash, disengage, dodge, help, hide, ready, search, and use an object. There are downtime activities to partake in, and they are described in great detail here. I really like this too. We have things like carousing, which allows you to gain money by gambling and other things. You can craft, you can research, you can train, or you could just work and be boring like that. The appendices are at the very back of the book, and we'll have things like our conditions, which include blinded, charmed, deafened, exhaustion, frightened, grappled, incapacitated, invisible, paralyzed, petrified, poisoned, prone, restrained, stunned, surprised, and unconscious. We do have a list of gods and pantheons, but these are more of just guidelines in a sense. These are historical deities, such as Egyptian deities, Greek deities, and Norse deities. Then we have creatures, or beasts as I figure. These are mainly for druids who can change their shape and actually need stats for those beasts. Or, of course, anybody who has an animal companion. There is, of course, a very nice index at the very back of the book, along with the character sheet and the obligatory Kobold Press advertisements, which actually look very nice, by the way. I will admit, the heroic fantasy genre is just not my forte. I have played my fair share of D&D 5e in the past, so do not think that this review is going to be some exercise in technical expertise. So what do I see here? I see that some of the classes have received an upgrade, such as the Cleric, the Ranger, the Fighter, and the Warlock classes. It feels fresh. Overall, the rules feel like 5e without being a copy and paste of the 5e system. Luck is a substitution for inspiration, and many of the weapons have an ability tied to them that gives them some more versatility. Magic weapons are now included in the player's guide, which is really good for showing your players what they might be able to find out when they're adventuring. The bad, let's talk about that. It's the amount of options that are available in the base game. And really, that's just the state of the game, but 2 subclasses per class seems a bit low to me. Things will get better over time, and that is what I think this game's greatest strength really lies. It's new. It's just starting out. And if anything Kobold Press has released in the past is any indicator of, this game is going to get a lot of support. There are already short adventures being written for it. In fact, last week they had just released the Sunken Pyramid, so that brings the total up to 6 adventures out now for this game. The book does bring some interesting concepts, and because it's kind of like a 5e clone, they can be introduced into other 5e games and vice versa. Is it going to topple the likes of D&D? Probably not. D&D has a ton of money to pay influencers and for advertisements and things like that. I mean, I don't really know if you've noticed, but lately everybody in the RPG scene seems to be talking about the next D&D Player's Guide coming out later this year with their own exclusive reveals and the such. It's all convoluted and whatnot. But I am glad that there is another competitor to join Level Up against this conglomerate that is Dungeons & Dragons. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video. Feel free to leave a comment down below. Give this video a huge thumbs up to support the series, and I will see you guys in the next video.